revolutionary activist who fought for freedom, justice and equality. This is our late struggle icon. Frene Ginwala is being remembered by so many. The liberation veteran passed away on Thursday. She was the country's first parliamentary speaker. Let's continue to get reaction to her passing. I'm joined now by film producer Anant Singh, who joins us virtually from Durban. Anant, thank you so much for your time this evening. You tweeted earlier today just your thoughts on the news that of Ginwala's passing. And as much as a generation of us who know Frene Ginwala as that first speaker, who was always standing side by side by President Nelson Mandela at the time, you made a point of mentioning the positions that she filled already, even when she was in exile, that at one point she was the ANC's spokesperson on sanctions and was a specialist in the nuclear program and the arms and oil embargo of South Africa. She was a woman very much ahead of her time, wasn't she?
Absolutely, and it was so sad to hear the news, and we send our sympathies to her family and friends. She was actually very close with Madiba, even pre the parliamentary appointment. I had the benefit of being with Madiba and her, and saw that fondness and friendship that was very loving and very supportive of each other. And even in the early days of the Mandela Foundation, on the foundation of it, and the Children's Fund, she was very involved in many of Madiba's charities.
You spoke about her, you struck up a friendship with her that basically started after she hosted you at Parliament. And I don't think we think enough about what those that first session of Parliament must have been like, the inner workings of setting up a new Parliament. People who were struggle activists now being put in suits, and they were walking these hallways of Parliament, and she, as the Speaker, was basically put in a position to lead them. What memories can you share of those moments as she took you around Parliament during such a historic and important part of our recent history?
You know, she was so passionate and so much in love with what Parliament represented. She had several exhibitions in Parliament. There was an exhibition of maps of Africa that went back hundreds of years, and she was very proud of the fact that Africa stood at the top of one of those early maps, which were probably 500 or 1,000 years old. And but you know, when I heard the news of her passing, I couldn't help but think back on the dignity over which she presided on Parliament. And when we look at Parliament some of these days, and all the fiascos and the arguments and the disregard and disrespect for dignity of what Parliament should be, I just reflected on that when we heard the news.
Absolutely.
And she, as strong as she was also very understanding of everybody's needs and what they needed to do in Parliament.
Yeah, I think Selo Hatang mentioned that she was firm and strong when she needed to be, but also gentle when she needed to be. I wanted to get a sense from you, as a storyteller at your core, you know the saying, I think it goes something like, you can't become what you can't see. Do you think you could put to words what kind of impact women and people from the Indian community, what kind of impact it would have been to see somebody that looks like Frene Ginwala, who carries herself like Frene Ginwala, take the lead like she did during those opening days, months and years of South Africa's democracy? How important was her position and what she did when reflecting on what it meant for especially women and especially Indian people of your generation especially?
Well, you know, I think the whole journey that people like Frene, her sister Khorshed, Jessie Duarte, you know, all of the people that were in the struggle from the beginning, you know, they grew up in the struggle and that was their life. And I think the preparation for democracy was ongoing, whilst it was a fight to get to where we needed to get to, there was always that ideology at the back of their minds to be able to actually achieve this in their lifetimes and be a part of it. And I think that was so remarkable that they were able to see this and to be a part of it and contribute so greatly before and during and after. I think that a lot of the people that made these commitments are relatively unknown today to especially the younger generations, and it is a duty for us to know more about these people who sacrificed pretty much their lives for our freedom.
Yeah, and just finally, before I let you go again, you as a storyteller, as a movie maker, as a nearly narrating our history, it does give us a moment to look at who has gone before, as a reminder of where we came from and what we should actually still have been aiming for if we look at what our narrative is right now. How much more do you think we should be doing? Not just in school books, not just in history classes, just in writing the story of democratic South Africa?
Well, I think, there were so many remarkable people, so many remarkable stories. I mean, I remember her attending some of my premieres of movies like Sarafina and Red Dust, which was a story around the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and how moved and how personal those stories were to her and to others. But I think that the elements of footage that the SABC has from Parliament, from all of the archive, these things need to be resurrected and be able to be played as like pretty much a history channel of South Africa, its leaders, its stories, people who did remarkable things and not so remarkable things, because we have to see all sides of what we were and where we've come from, and hopefully we'll get to that ideal Rainbow Nation scenario that Madiba and Archbishop Tutu and people like Frene Ginwala had dreamt about.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this evening and for sharing your thoughts. That's film producer Anant Singh joining us virtually from Durban.